Greetings. My name is Antonio Fletcher, and I recently facilitated or led a Narcotics Anonymous group within my city. The group has been in existence for probably about 15 years, and the meetings are primarily held. It's an old office building, and they use a classroom type setting where they facilitate these meetings. The group is made up of a facilitator. It has peer counselors, and it has about 20 to 30 members that routinely meet and they talk about ways to battle or fight their addiction. Um, the group is primarily a makeup of this city. This city is roughly 100,000 people, and it has primarily African American males and females, and there's also a few Caucasian males and females in the group as well. Um, Again, most of them come from low income areas within the city, and they unfortunately have become addicted to some type of substance, whether that be alcohol or hard drug, if you will, like heroin. Um, the meeting was held in a classroom type setting where there were tables and chairs, and the facilitator, who was me for the day, sits at the head of the table and I'm sorry, the head of the classroom, and explains what it is they'll talk about that day. I began the meeting by introducing myself, and I explained to them the purpose for our being there. For the sake of this, my purpose for being there that day was to explain to them the importance of getting out of the environment that they come from during their recovery phase, and while they're trying to recover from these substance abuse, this substance that they are addicted to. Um, it was explained to them that I was there to speak to them about that. And once I began doing that, as soon as I explained that purpose, I saw there was some agreement in the room by the head nodding, and I have some people even clap their hands when in agreement. But there was also a few that gave the question that I knew would be coming next, and that question is, where are we supposed to go then? I knew that question was coming. Um, because I was there to encourage them and not to dictate to them, I took more of a participatory leadership style in the group, which, I posed the question, but I allowed them to talk about the pros and cons in the dialogue, and that's exactly what happened. Many of the people that agreed with me began to argue, if you will, with those that didn't agree, and so that dialogue began to happen, and pros and cons of both sides of the story were heard and spoke by the members of the group, which was my purpose. The dialogue became somewhat heated, but in a respectable manner. And by the close of the session, I could see where those who disagreed understood the benefit of getting out of the environment, and they wanted to know what resources were available to them to help them get out of that environment. As a self-reflection on my facilitating that day, or self-assessment, I believe my background in being an instructor and gave me the confidence to overcome the nervousness that I may have felt by speaking to the group. I began by specifically introducing myself and gave valid reasons why they should listen to me based on my current profession. Currently, I am a law enforcement officer, and I have seen even some of them go from being good to bad when it comes to their recovery. Secondly, I gave them an example of a person that I knew personally that had went through recovery and were addicted to some of the same type of substance that they were, that when they were out of the environment, how they thrived, how they were healthy, how they make the best of situations. But the minute they went back to that environment, same friends, same hangouts, same kind of stores that were around that they were able to have access to certain things, how the recovery phase seems to get halted. The main challenge that I faced with the group was the fact that group members seemed willing to shut down once I explained to them that I'm a law enforcement officer. Again, some of them I have dealt with on a professional level that were in the group. I didn't mention them by name or anything, but they know me, and I knew some of them. And they seemingly shut down when I mentioned that. So to combat that, I explained to them that I was not there in that capacity. I was simply there to help them and give them some ideas that would help them in their recovery. As relates to doing things differently, I should have been better prepared when they asked about then what are they supposed to do. I should have had a little bit more resources that I could give them or show them that they could take on in order to help get them through their recovery process. In conclusion, my experience of facilitating the group was best highlighted when the members that initially disagreed began to understand the benefit, and they could, more importantly, they could tell me why it was a benefit to get out of certain environments. The most important takeaway was that if you offer advice, be able to provide the resources when you're asked, and you will be able to provide the resources to give them some numbers, some names, some people they can contact that could help them get out of that environment if that's what you're advocating to them. It's important to remember that the group members seemingly want help, and they will get help from any means necessary that will help them in their recovery. I reply what I've learned in this group. I also learned how to properly cut people off. We had a few that kind of got off topic, or they started talking about something else, especially when I told them I was a law enforcement officer. So that's one of the things that I'll take away, and I will learn how to deal with those situations a little better. I'll also, again, make sure that I'm better prepared when people are asking for resources. I will have names, numbers, things like that. Lastly, always remember that addiction is a disease, and that these people want help. They did not choose to be there. They're there, and it's up to us now to try to help them better. And that's what I learned best from there. Blessings to y'all. Best wishes to y'all. And this will be the conclusion of my presentation. Thank you.